Alright, hello everyone and welcome to NFL Discussion. I'm your host, NFL enthusiast Dougie Doug. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing Divisional Round 2024 Sunday games. We had the Buccaneers taking on the Lions and the Chiefs taking on the Bills. And with the conclusion of those two games, Championship Sunday is now set. It will be the Lions versus the 49ers and the Chiefs versus the Ravens. Playoff football has been fun, even if the wildcard round got off to a bit of a dull start with a bunch of blowouts. The divisional round certainly made up for it, with really only one game turning into a blowout and every other game being close and competitive, just the way playoff football was meant to be. And with that, we'll go ahead and get right into the action, starting with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who can build on the unexpected success they achieved this season by retaining quarterback Baker Mayfield. So the Baker Mayfield experience was largely a positive one for the Buccaneers this season, even though he did throw a game-sealing interception that in Sunday's loss to the Lions. However, don't let one sour moment overshadow everything the team has accomplished and everything Mayfield has accomplished. The transition from Tom Brady to Mayfield was not a seamless one, but it went much smoother than expected. Tampa Bay won one more regular season game in 2023 than it did last year and captured another NFC South title. Along the way, Mayfield set career highs in a number of categories, including passing yards and passing touchdowns. During the postseason, Mayfield posted back-to-back performances with 300 or more passing yards and 3 touchdowns. The importance of that stat is that Mayfield is the only quarterback in Buccaneers history to achieve that feat, according to Fox Sports' Greg Ullman. Mayfield played on a one-year prove-it deal this season, but his latest performance should help him earn a new contract. According to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport, the Buccaneers want Mayfield back next year, and he wants to be back as well. However, money is going to be a sticking point, as it usually is, and as well as Mayfield played at times this season, he's not an elite quarterback. He's just in the right situation. So because of that, he shouldn't be making the same average annual salary as Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes. But instead, I think a number somewhere in between 35 to 40 million annually should be a good spot for him. The Buccaneers also need to try to retain offensive coordinator Dave Canales. He's gotten some head coaching interest, notably from the Panthers. I don't think he takes a head coaching job, but it's not surprising that he's getting interviews. Mike Evans is also somebody who needs to be retained. He's a pending free agent. Without those two, Mayfield won't be nearly as effective nor carry the same value, which is pretty much the case with most quarterbacks when they lose their top target and top play caller. I think a C.J. Stroud in Houston should probably select his play caller, take a head coaching job. What will Stroud look like next season if he has a new play caller? It's something to think about. As for Mayfield, he found the right situation in Tampa to thrive after the disaster that was Cleveland and Carolina. The Buccaneers made it further this year than expected, and the quarterback was a big reason why. It now falls on Tampa Bay's front office to keep this talented core together, add to it in the offseason, and continue to build this team as a legitimate contender. Detroit Lions find themselves in uncharted territory with concerns along the offensive line. That uncharted territory being an NFC Championship game, which they have not been in since 1991. Sunday was a great day for the long-suffering fans of the Detroit Lions, whose team is headed to the NFC Championship game for the first time since the 91 season. The next step will be the hardest, though, particularly considering the injuries that the Lions suffered on Sunday along their standout offensive line. According to Pro Football Focus, the Lions featured a top 5 offensive line during the regular season. The overall protection during Sunday's win over the Buccaneers held up, but Jonah Jackson left the game with a knee injury, and Frank Ragnow gutted his way through what looked like an ankle injury. Head coach Dan Campbell said after the game it doesn't look good for Jackson's chances of being available for next week's game. Per the Detroit News, Justin Rogers, losing a Pro Bowl caliber guard is bad enough, but the Lions will likely go to San Francisco, Ragnow not being 100% either. As the Athletics' Nate Tice noted in December, Detroit's yards per play, success rate, and EPA per play all dramatically dipped when the Pro Bowl center missed time during the regular season. The 49ers will look to take advantage of this and attack Detroit's interior to blow up run plays and collapse the pocket. San Francisco also features 2 excellent pass rushers in John Hargrave and Eric Armstead. Niners defensive coordinator Steve Wilks will also probably be looking to send Nick Bosa and/or Chase Young over the guard and center in obvious passing situations. Either way, life will be difficult for the Lions' banged-up offensive line. Those injuries could very well be the difference between the Lions' first road playoff victory since 1957 and a Super Bowl berth, or a postseason exit and an end to what has been a great season for Detroit. Kansas City Chiefs will need another complete offensive performance, this time on the road against the Ravens. Once again, Patrick Mahomes was a magician. Travis Kelce also had pitched in with a couple touchdown scores. Andy Reid's offense was humming on its way to the Chiefs' 6th straight AFC Championship game appearance. In order for Kansas City to reach the Super Bowl for a 4th time during that 6-year stretch, its next contest in Baltimore must be more than the Mahomes and Mahato show. Granted, the duel's 2 touchdown connections during the victory over the Bills made them the most prolific duo in NFL history, with 16 touchdowns between the quarterback and tight end during the playoffs, surpassing Jerry Rice and Joe Montana and Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski. While Mahomes and Kelce drive the offensive line serves as the motor, the running game provides the wheels, and the emerging wide receivers pick up the speed. Up front, the Chiefs played great. The offensive line allowed 0 sacks and only 2 quarterback hits. Furthermore, the Chiefs averaged 6.1 yards per carry, and Isaiah Pacheco deserves credit for that. He kept his feet pounding the ground with the mentality of the juggernaut. That's a Marvel character for those who don't know. Basically, his whole thing is he's just a big wrecking ball and he's unstoppable. The Chiefs put the ball in Pacheco's hands instead of their quarterback when they found themselves inside the 5-yard line for the team's final score. As of late, Rashid Rice has been stepping up and been a breakout star for the Chiefs' passing attack. Marcus Valdez-Scantling also showed up and showed out against the Bills of 2 huge downfield catches, which is a reminder to everyone that at times, when he's on his game, he can provide a critical vertical element to this offense. Next week, Kansas City will play the league's best scheme defense. The Ravens held C.J. Stroud and the Texans offense to 213 total yards and 0 touchdowns during their Saturday meeting. The Chiefs will need at least the pieces to play well again in order to reach Las Vegas and possibly become the NFL's latest dynasty. Buffalo Bills. So another season ended in heartbreaking fashion, another season ending in disappointing fashion. There's certainly going to be some questions going into the offseason, and I think one of the bigger ones will be Stephon Diggs. He has a habit of being disgruntled at the end of every season, which is understandable when you're a competitive person and you end each season on a losing note. But will this offseason be the final one of him being disgruntled as a member of the Bills? That's going to be an interesting one to watch play out. On the first play of the Bills' final drive, Josh Allen corked a 60-yard pass to his top target, Stephon Diggs. Diggs, however, did not adjust properly, and the ball fell through his arms to the ground. Allen targeted Diggs twice more during the same drive with 0 receptions. The Bills' leading receiver, who posted his 6th straight 1,000-yard campaign this season, caught 3 passes for 21 yards. This cat. There's been quite a bit of ruckus down here. You can thank the cat for that one, so throw that toy over there and watch her make a whole bunch of noise over there. Oh well, ignore the cat. Back to the video. Allen targeted Diggs twice more during the same drive with 0 receptions. The Bills' leading receiver, who posted his 6th straight 1,000-yard campaign this season, caught 3 passes for 21 yards against the Chiefs. A downward trend that has been seen throughout the season. In Buffalo's first 6 games, Diggs averaged 103.3 receiving yards per game, which is pretty much where the majority of his yards for the season came from. Since that point, Diggs averaged flatlined at 48.9 yards per game. His production decreased and his drops increased. Yes, opposing defenses double team rates increased. Other options like rookie tight end Dalton Kincaid and running back James Cook emerged in the passing game. Do the Bills really need a frustrated wide receiver, or I should say disgruntled wide receiver on the field whose drop rate increased when it mattered the most? Did it make the play necessary to extend the season and holds a $27.9 million salary cap charge in 2024? Contractually, the Bills can trade or release Diggs post June 1 and save $19 million towards this next season's cap, according to Over the Cap, and that's something they might consider doing. As of the moment, Buffalo is a projected $43.6 million over next year's figure per Spotrac. Brandon Beane has some decision to make on some free agent players like Micah Hyde, AJ Epinesa, and Gabriel Davis. The fact of the matter is that the Bills haven't been able to overcome the Chiefs in the playoffs with Diggs on the roster. Not that he's the reason why they lose, but it certainly does raise an interesting question of if you move on from him, right, what exactly does that change? The Bills might look to reallocate financial resources elsewhere, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, then select a quality wide receiver prospect in the Bills draft. So do the Bills move on with Stephon Diggs? I can see it happening. I'm not 100% sure. I don't have like a definitive yes or no answer to that. All I know is that I can see it happening. Another season of losing in the postseason to the Chiefs. You've had Stephon Diggs on your roster for all these playoff runs, and it hasn't materialized. Again, he's not the reason why they're losing. But should you move on from him, how drastically does that change the offense? Yeah, that's it. I guess it depends on who you fill out that wide receiver room with in an effort to make up for that production. So certainly an interesting storyline to watch once again in the offseason. What would be the same thing of Stephon Diggs being disgruntled but figuring it out and remaining a member of the Bills, or will he actually leave Buffalo this offseason? I guess we shall see. And with that will conclude this episode of NFL Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below.